Welcome to our third annual holiday nail art series with me, Sarah, from Sarah's Nail Secrets.
And Talia from Talia's Nail Tales. This year we're doing 12 designs, but we're going to space them out a little bit different so the series lasts until Christmas.
So make sure you subscribe and hit the bell so you don't miss a tutorial. Let's get started.
Welcome to day 8, everyone. Day 8 was titled Winter Evening. Now, Sarah and I did a kind of a similar theme last year called Dark Winter Scene, and I used a bunch of different blues in that particular design, so I wanted to do something completely different for this one. So I took to Pinterest and found this beautiful picture. I loved how warm this picture looked. I loved how cozy it looked. I loved how you were inside, but you were looking outside, and I wanted to try and create that on a set of nails using some striping tape, different dark tones, and some other nail art elements. Let me show you how I did this design, which, spoiler, is my hands down favorite one from this entire series. I love how this one came together. Start, I'm just taking some of Fusion's clear base and putting this all over her prepped nails. This will act as a barrier for the different gels that I'm going to put on top of it. The gel that I'm going to use for the Woodgrain nails is Nutty Nutmeg from Light Elegance. This is a super old brown color, but it's got kind of a little bit of a rosy tinge to it, and I thought it would work really nice as the background for Woodgrain nails. So I decided to put this all over her pinky finger as well as her thumb finger. Now, I didn't want to use a dark brown to do this because I was thinking that the alcohol inks that I'm going to do to give it some texture for the Woodgrain effect would darken it up quite a bit. So if I had a dark background, you wouldn't really be able to see the different effects. But I also didn't want to use like a light wood grain because I wanted that warm, dark wood grain look that the picture kind of depicted. The red that I decided to go with is called First Class Only, and it came out with Ellie's winter collection this year. I loved how warm this red was, but it also has kind of a pearl shimmer effect to it. So I was kind of thinking that it would be a good background for some sort of brick design. I wasn't entirely sure what I was going to do with this. I was kind of thinking of making it look like a fireplace, but because we were going to do like the outside looking through the window thing, I didn't want to have too many like crazy art elements to it. So just having a plain brick nail I thought would go really nice with this particular design. When I use these pearl type of finishes, I like to do one kind of floating coat down, and then I go in after that one is cured and just paint on a thin coat as well. And I find this kind of gets rid of any of the swirling effects that happened when I was doing my floating layer. I decided to go in with Winter Green Glitter Gel from Ali, which is a really nice dark green glitter gel where I thought it would be perfect for this particular design because I wanted some of those dark, warmer tones. So I'm going to put this all over her ring finger, and my idea was that I was going to do some Swarovski crystal elements on top of this. So having a nice dark background that didn't have a bunch of multicolored glitters to it or anything works really well if you're going to put some crystals on top of it. Once I have this all over the nail, I'm going to go in with this loose glitter mix from the Nail Team, and it is called Metallic Teal. I liked how this wasn't the exact same color as the Winter Evergreen gel because it'll pop a little bit more once you get the gel on top of it. It has a really nice teal effect, and it just kind of complemented this one really nicely. Her middle nail is where I wanted to do the window effect. So I was thinking that I wanted it to look like it was a snowy night looking outside the window, and I decided to take some of Iced Up from Ellie's winter collection as well and put this all over the nail. Now I decided not to put like a base color or anything down below it, so you can see her natural nail through it when I initially put this down, but I knew I was going to cover up the natural nail with some tree elements, and in the end this worked out really well. Initially when I was applying it, I was thinking, oh shoot, I should have put down a different like base as well, but I do like how this came out. I'm going to take some of my Fusion's SL Clear and I'm going to embed all of these nails using it. Then we're going to jump to after they've been finish filed to move straight into the art elements. One of my most requested videos is to show you guys an entire full set of nails, right from sculpting, finish filing, everything. That video will be coming up in the new year. I don't like to include it in many of my tutorials because honestly the tutorials would just be way too long, but I do have that video filmed just with the Christmas series. I will not be able to have it edited until the new year. When I was finished filing this client's nails, you guys can see that I filed out some of the colors, so I'm just going to show you here how I would clean that up if that happened to you. I do like to make sure that I am getting the best shape that I can when I am finished filing, so sometimes because I embed the colors, I do end up taking some of it out. So all I'm going to do is go in with another color, another layer of the Light Elegance color on top of it, and it works really well, covers up any of that filing out that I did. But honestly, I'm going to stamp over this nail too, so it's not a huge deal if it doesn't get covered all the way. some of the Apres blending fluid. I'm also going to take these neutral tone alcohol inks that I get from Michaels, as well as the neutral brown alcohol ink from Apres as well. I wish Apres had more neutral tones because those are the ones that I use the most whenever I do these type of designs. But right now I am just putting it all over the nail. You guys have seen this in quite a few videos actually in the Christmas series, me using these inks, and I love them to add texture to nails and backgrounds if you're going to do vintage or wood grain or anything that kind of has needs to have some texture to it. So initially all I do is put the color down. Sometimes I will spray to blend it out a little bit more, but my favorite technique is to just make it super wet and just keep dropping different blending fluid into it, because then I can get some of these lines that go through it as well. And once we stamp over top of it with the wood grain, you won't see a ton of these lines, but it does give it some texture and different effects to it as well. These are the two plates that I'm going to use from Clear Jelly Stampers. So we have this texture plate which has brick and wood grain on it, but I'm not actually going to use that wood grain. I'm going to use the wood grain from this plate as well because I like it a little bit better. I'm going to use this brown polish from Clear Jelly Stamper that has a little bit of a pearl finish to it, and I love the effect of that on top of this lighter brown color. I think you can really see the two different colors as well as the texture of the art inks. Now for the brick nail, I decided to use this lighter red initially, but didn't like how it was looking, so that I went in with number 63, which is my hands down favorite red stamping polish from Clear Jelly. It is stunning. It is so sparkly and perfect for Christmas. Now I am restamping it on her pointer finger on the left hand because I just didn't like how it came out initially. To add in some more winter elements, I am going to stamp some snowflakes on top of that wood grain. Now you guys can see there that I made a little bit of an error when I was stamping that snowflake, and I'm just going to go in and take a little bit of a bigger snowflake and cover it up instead of having to do this entire design over again. But a way to avoid this when you're doing a bunch of different layers like this is you could easily top gloss in between your Clear Jelly stamping steps. That way if you made a mistake like that and you couldn't cover it up, you wouldn't have to take the entire design of the alcohol inks as well as the wood grain off. I also really like stamping with some of these little snowball things when I do snowflake nails as well, because I really do like how they look in combination with the snowflakes. Trying to think of what else I could do for this brick nail, and I decided to do some sugar snow on top of the brick. I don't really know if this goes in with the cozy winter theme, but I really love how it turned out. I'm taking some of my fusion paints in white, and the reason I'm using fusion paints is because they cure to attack-free finish, which is what I like to do when I am doing any sort of sugar effect. And then I'm going to take this white sugar powder from Glitter Heaven and just dump it on top before I cure it. I kind of tap off a little bit of the excess. In true Talia sugaring form though, I did that improperly. You're supposed to top gloss first and then go in with your sugar elements, because if you don't do that, then you're going to have to try and top gloss around the sugar because you don't want to top gloss on top of the sugar. So on the other nail I did it properly here. So you top gloss first, go in with your sugar and your paints, and then you cure it, and then that nail is completely done once you brush everything off. So what I'm going to have to do on top of that other nail that I did it wrong is I'm going to have to top gloss around the sugar, which you guys can see here. I'm just kind of butting it up so that I try not to hit the sugar powder. It's just a little bit more complicated. When you do sugar around the cuticles, it's not too hard to top gloss, but if you're doing sugar on a snowflake nail or something like that, it's a little bit more of a pain in the butt to try and top gloss around it. Which, if you guys would have watched yesterday's video, my top 5 tricky nail art tips, you would have learned that in that video, because I go over sugaring as well as striping tape, which I can show you guys here is what I'm doing for the nail where we are creating that window looking outside. So if you watched yesterday's video, then you know that I prefer to embed my striping tape, and had I planned this in advance, that's what I would have done. But also it's kind of hard to do striping tape on top of a glitter nail like this one, so it is best to go in on top of the finished file nail in this particular effect. Plus it almost gives it more of a layered dimensional look because I'm doing the striping tape on top of it as well. So if you guys have any questions about how I use striping tape, go back and watch yesterday's video. Because I want this to be a winter scene looking outside a window, I am going to stamp some trees on top of it. And the stamping plate that I'm using is a new one from Clear Jelly's launch. I'll leave the majority of stuff that I use in this tutorial in the description box below, whatever I can kind of find links to or whatever. And it has a lot of these really small trees on it, which I really liked for this particular nail design. So I'm just stamping them in that same brown color that I used on the wood grain nail, because I thought that that would look really nice if they kind of matched. And on this nail, I did striping tape first, and then I'm going to go in and stamp the trees. But on the other nail, I'm going to do it the other way around, where I stamp first and then go in with striping tape, because I wanted to use a bigger tree element, which that was my client's idea, was to kind of have the tree in the background of the window, and I really liked that idea too. My only concern with it was that I wasn't too sure if the striping tape was actually going to stick to the stamping, and this particular striping tape that I'm using, which I believe is from Canada Nail Supplies, because it's a little bit of a higher quality striping tape, it worked really well. I actually had no problems doing striping tape on top of a finished file nail on this set, which is really nice, because usually I do, which is why I prefer to embed it, but it stuck really well. And I did make sure to double gloss on top of the striping tape to hold it in a little bit better too. The last nail that I have to complete is the Swarovski crystals on top of her ring finger, on top of the green nails here. So I'm going in with some opal crystals, as well as some Siam crystals, which is like a darker red color, as well as some of the green crystals. Now you guys can see that I'm really struggling with that crystal picker upper that I picked up off of Amazon. And the reason that I struggle with it is because it does not want to let go of the crystals, which is a giant pain in my butt. So I went back to using, I believe, my Ugly Duckling Blinger tool for this particular nail design instead. And it works really well. Like, I do really like the Blinger tool. You guys know me, I just like to try other things, which is why I decided to try that one on Amazon, but I've been really struggling with it to get the crystals off, and that is no fun when you're trying to do a design like this. I also decided to put some crystals in the center of snowflakes. I love doing this. I love how it adds a little bit of extra color to the snowflake nails, as well as some more bling. Who doesn't want more bling on the nails? Then I'm going to go in and top gloss this entire design. Now the wood grain nails with the snowflake would look great matte, but you guys know me, I'm a shiny girl, so I decided to go in and do shiny as well. I also think the snowy nail would have looked really good matte too, but again, I did shiny. So if you were gonna try any of these elements and use some matte, make sure you tag me on Instagram, because I would love to see how it looks and turns out with matte as well. Thank you guys so much for taking the time to watch this video. I hope you liked seeing what my creation was for winter evening. I love how this one came out. Like, I love the tones, I love the window nail, I love the crystals, I love the wood grain. There's so much I love about this particular nail design. Make sure you head on over to see what Sarah did for this theme. I really like how she did a galaxy theme. I thought that turned out so cool. It was nothing that I ever thought she would have done for it, and I love how it came together and cannot wait to see the tutorial for it. Make sure you guys come back tomorrow for another Vlogmas video. 2 days from now, we'll continue this series. Follow me on all of my social media, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye!